What is going on, everybody? Just going to wait for some people to get in here. Seahawks live post game, and I've got a lot to rant about. I know there's a lot of other bigger Seahawks accounts that are probably live right now talking about this, but I, I'm going to wait for a few people to get in here. So, hope everyone's having a good night. Hope you guys are enjoying yourselves. Just got gut wrenching loss, and the NFL has a massive officiating problem. Yep, Samuel, dead on. Sanctuary, how you doing, my friend? Adam Ray, welcome in. The official, listen, Jacob, welcome in. Hope you guys are all doing well. Thanks for joining me tonight, guys. I appreciate it. Listen, the defense was atrocious. I'm not at all trying to take blame off them. They were atrocious. Things need to change, but the NFL has a major officiating problem. It was an absolute joke, and maybe I shouldn't be doing this right after the game, and I should have waited and taken a deep breath. But the officiating is a fucking joke. I don't even care if it gets taken down for swearing. I'm done with it. I am absolutely done with the garbage out there. And now that gambling has become, and I like gambling. I'm not against people. If you're a gambler, this isn't against you. But now that gambling has become to the forefront of everything, it's you start to wonder, right? 7 PIs, and I mean, just some of those PIs were just terrible. They weren't even close. The defense was trash. Like, I'm not defending them. They weren't good. And Dallas's offense is good enough as it is. But those PIs were just anytime Seattle had any semblance of a positive play on defense, they just threw it. They just threw the flag, no problem whatsoever. The PI and Bobby Wagner was a joke. And Jordan Lewis did the same thing to JSN on the third down on the second to last drive. No flag there. None whatsoever. Huge hold missed on the end around to CeeDee Lamb at the end of the game. Not called. A clear as day face mask on the Cowboys. And I think Seattle scored on the drive anyways. That they threw the flag on the face mask. And then after they talk about it, they pick it up. I can understand if you don't see a face mask, right? It can get lost in the shuffle. And sometimes you don't see it. But they threw the flag and then they pick it up. This crew was a joke, an absolute joke. Going to get to the comments here. Yeah, refs were absolute garbage, Jacob. You are correct. Not to mention they took the TD from JSN. Yeah, that I didn't even think about that. They scored Seattle had to score 3 touchdowns on that drive before the end of the half. JSN's, which was called a touchdown, there was not enough evidence to overturn that. There was not. If it had been called incomplete, I probably would have been fine with it. I probably would have been okay with that standing, but it was called a touchdown, not enough to overturn that. Then they scored the touchdown to Noah Fant, but no, apparently Dallas got a timeout in because, of course, and then they finally score it to DK Metcalf. So they had to score 3 touchdowns to get 1. I mean, it was just, well, I hope you're enjoying it, my friend. Welcome in, James. I just, and I'm going to get to the team. I just need to vent, and thank you guys for being here. I'm not excusing bad play. So if you're coming on here going, oh, Jay, they were still terrible. Yes, I'm not excusing bad play, but the refs were an absolute joke. And I'm so tired of it because this is 2 times in 3 weeks that the refs have screwed this team. I thought it was bad against the Rams. I think it was negligible there. It was bad. Today was just atrocious. Anytime Seattle made the few plays they did make defensively, right? Flag on just the most ticky-tacky stuff. The 2 on Trey Brown on the drive that I think was after Seattle made it 28-20 were terrible. That's all I'm going to go on. The refereeing was a joke. Now, I don't even have the energy to talk about the game. That game that game hurt. That one hurt. Put everything into it. It looks like they were going to win it. And what a win it would have been to go on the road, beat Dallas. Even if you don't think this team is going to make anything of their season, it just would have been a great win to have, and they don't finish it. I'm not even mad. I mean, there's changes that need to happen on this team 100%, but this loss hurts so much that I can't rant about the team. I mean, I will, but it's just so hard to I'm it's sad. It's a sad, last week was easy to rant. They just got their butts straight up whooped by the Niners, right? It was easy to this is trash performance, everything. They probably should have won this game tonight. And it hurts because they were right there to win it. So the anger isn't there as much. I'm not going to come on here with a fire everybody rant, although I do think there's some people that their job should be on the line here, but it just hurts. It just hurts. Gunny, welcome in. Good to see you. You were close. You had a close score prediction. You were on it. I was actually way off. Leaf wrote, welcome in. Yeah, me too. It really is. And the issue is with some of these referee issues, gambling has become a lot bigger. And I'm fine with gambling. I like to throw a couple bucks on the game myself sometimes, right? Like it's fun. I'm not against people gambling. I gamble it, with gamble with your head not over, just my advice. But it's become so big that you wonder. You do wonder. And listen, what's better for the NFL? What is better? Dallas being 9-3 against a 10-2 Philly team or whatever they end up being, or Dallas losing that game and Philly wrapping up the division right now? Just saying, right? It's better for the league in their eyes for ratings if Dallas wins, and you've got the gambling aspect of it. And man, I won't say it's rigged because listen, if I think it's rigged, then turn it off, right? Like, what's the point if I'm that far gone with it? And I'm emotional after the game, but I'm sorry. It makes you question it, doesn't it? Am I crazy that you start wondering? I'm going to get into the team a little bit here. So let's get to some of the comments. Jacob, now I have to wait like 10. Well, actually, it's the Niners first in San Francisco, which I just don't have any faith that they're going to win in San Francisco. And then it's the Eagles on Monday night at home. If they play like they did today, I think they could give Philly some trouble. But we'll see. Animal, how you doing, my friend? You think they should fire Pete? I think they should. I'm going to wait till the end of the season. I know it's a cop-out answer. I'm going to wait till the end of the season to give my thoughts on that, but it might be time. I wouldn't fire Pete. I would kind of maybe make it a forced resign. I think Pete's earned enough goodwill here that I'm willing to let him make that call. And I'm not there yet. I'm not. I want to let the season play out. But the defense, I hate when people make videos about their team and they're like, oh, we're so talented. It's just all coaching and everything. And I watch other fans. I'm like, yeah, but sometimes the players got to play. So here I am coming on here doing the same thing. But isn't this defense too talented to be this bad? I mean, they didn't force a punt. I know Dallas didn't either. But they did get some fourth down stops. This defense, it should be better than this. I'm not saying it should be the best in the league, and Dallas's offense is really good. Dak's been at an MVP level. They've got a good old line. CeeDee Lamb's great. Ferguson's a good tight end. They have some good other weapons as well. So I'm not, I didn't expect Seattle to come in here and play great defensively, but you got to be better than that, and they should be. There's talent. There's been money spent on this defense. They paid a ton of money for Draymond Jones. They paid decent money for Jaron Reed. They invested high draft capital in, Darrell Taylor, and Maffe's been good, and Derek Hall, and they spent high draft capital on Jordan Brooks and Witherspoon. Witherspoon's been great. The safety, Jason, I saw your comment. Yeah, they spent, it's the highest paid safety room in the NFL, all three of them, Adams, Diggs, and Love. And it's just, it should be performing better than this. I don't expect the dominant pass rush. I do think they're missing kind of that alpha on the D line, like their version of a Parsons or a Bosa, which easier said than done. But they shouldn't be just getting gashed like this. The secondary should be more talented, unless it just is that bad. Maybe it is the talent, but something tells me it's got to be somewhat scheme related too. Clint Hurt is just not. He's how can I word it? He's just what Pete wants to do. It's not an innovative DC. It's just running the schemes Pete wants to run. And they're not working. They're just not. And again, had they given up 30 points and gotten the sack number was good, but it wasn't consistent. If they had given up 30, got a couple turnovers, forced a couple punts, I'd probably be okay with the performance. They had a couple drives where they did bend and didn't break with some decent red zone play. But they're playing the bend don't break, which is fine. And I get it against some of these good offenses, but at some point you've got to turn over the ball and you got to force a punt or something. Jason, welcome in. Hope you're doing well. Refs did everything they could try and cover the point spread. Well, guess, yeah, that's right. They didn't get they didn't cover. They tried, didn't they? It was atrocious. It was just the refs were awful. I got to get off the refs because it's going to drive me nuts. But yeah, they were awful. They were awful. Jordan Brooks Brooks has had a nice year. Like I think he's been solid, but and it's just that's what I said. I don't know if it's the talent, if it's the coaching. Like, listen, I don't think the scheme's working, but players have to play too, right? Like every play can work, offense or defense, if it's executed to perfection. You can make it work. Like a halfback dive can work if it's blocked up well and everything goes right. It can work. So at some point, players do have to play, and I'll put some of it on them, but it just seems like a little bit is the scheme. And it's, that first touchdown to CeeDee Lamb, you've got Bobby Wagner. It wasn't man coverage, it's a zone, but you've got Bobby Wagner, who is not a strong coverage linebacker anymore. He's a good run defender, but he's weak in coverage. And you've got CeeDee Lamb just sitting right there in the zone. And listen, even prime Bobby Wagner is probably going to have a little trouble with CeeDee Lamb, let alone 2023 Bobby Wagner is going to struggle there. So, it's just, I don't know. I don't know. It's so hard to break down what I think the problem is because this loss just hurts so much. And like Jacob said, I got to wait 10 days to play again. And truthfully, they're probably not going to go into San Francisco and win. Let's talk about the offense a little bit. Offense, great tonight, 35 points. And Dallas's defense is outstanding, right? They're third in DVOA. I don't know all the other metrics, but I imagine they rank pretty highly. In Seattle, put up 35 points on them. I know the last 3 drives weren't good. But at the end of the day, like if you would have told me before the game Seattle scores 35, I probably would have said that's good enough to win. I think we all probably would have, we all would have signed up for it, right? Like there's nobody that wouldn't have signed up for 35 points. My faith in the defense is so little that I don't know if I would have guaranteed a win with 35, but you would have felt pretty comfortable. Gino had a great game. The pick was bad. And then it would have been nice to say it's, I lost my train of thought there. It would have been nice to have one of those drives at the end, finish it off the game. So it's like, as good as Gino was there, it still wasn't like the perfect game, but I can't get on Gino. Like they put up 35. DK was great. How about that Tyler Lockett drop? Oh, how crucial was that? Was that when they were down 3 or was that when they were up 5 at that point? I don't remember. God, sorry for being all over the place. I just had to vent. I needed you guys here to do it. But, you get Tyler Lockett dropping a pass. I don't know if I've ever seen Tyler Lockett drop a pass. And I will say, like, I do wonder, and I'm not blaming Gino for that pass, but I do wonder if it was a little too much juice on the ball on that pass and Lockett wasn't quite ready. I mean, he was wide open. I mean, you could have just lobbed that thing in there and Lockett would have caught it. So I'm not putting that on Gino, but I do wonder if maybe a little bit easier throw there gets the job done. If you're new to the chat, welcome in. Appreciate you guys joining me for this recap. If you're starting in the middle, go back to the beginning. If you want me to rant on the refs, I did it. I went off on them. We've moved on to the team a little bit. Jason says you can say it, bro. You can say it, bro. Clint Hurt. Is it not? No, I think it is Clint Hurt. I just don't think Clint Hurt's like a defensive mastermind. It's Pete, right? Like he's running what Pete Carroll wants this team to run. And I'm not going to say fire Pete yet. I'm waiting for the season to finish. Because who knows? Maybe they do go to San Francisco and win and beat Philly. I doubt it, but maybe they do. And if that's the case, like maybe they find something here. So, but yeah, I mean, I'm fine if they fire Clint Hurt. I'm fine with that. But it's just they're just going to hire another Clint Hurt. Pete's not going to bring in a guy that's a defensive guru. He's going to bring in his guys. It's just going to be who's ever behind Clint Hurt, on the pecking order to come up and beat the DC, and they're going to run the same defense. It's what they've been doing for years. Says it wasn't as close as it seemed. Bizarre T the beginning, PI again to the 1 at the end of the half was predictable. I think it was a pretty close game. Seattle was up by 8 in the fourth quarter. I mean, hard to say it wasn't as close as it seemed. I think it was. In fact, I think Seattle probably should have won that football game. To be honest, I mean, I don't know if they maybe should have won it. The numbers probably come out pretty balanced for both teams, but I think they were in it. Done. Seattle's offense played well. Like I can't sit here and knock them. Although I will say on the last drive. So the last drive of the game was Seattle gets to a 2nd and 2 at what were they at? About their own 48 or so. I get you have no timeouts, right? There's a minute and a half left. But like, can you just run the ball there once, pick up the first? You had plenty of time. Like and I know Charbonnet was out, and that doesn't help either. I don't know why Kenny McIntosh can't get a snap. I got a couple more things I want to add. I'm so done with DJ Dallas. Like, he's just the most that you could like. DJ Dallas just the most generic running back alive. Like he's the guy, and when your running backs get hurt and mad, and you just pick up someone randomly that's a free agent. You're like, oh, there's a running back I need to grab. Let me just sign him and put him on the roster. That's DJ Dallas. He's just mediocre. He's not like a terrible player or anything. He's just so mid. And I don't know why Kenny McIntosh can't get on the field. But that last drive, you got a 2nd and 2 at the 48. Like, run the ball, get the first down, and reset, right? Like, you pick it up, then you spike it, maybe run a play. You got a minute left. You're on Dallas's side of the field. You're at least in position where, another first down, and you're at least kind of in mini Hail Mary territory. You can still run the offense. You could spike it. 2nd and 2, just get that first down. Just move the chains. Like, and they go 3 passes. And the last play, they don't block Micah Parsons, which that's a smart game plan right there. I don't know if it's like as good as the offense was, they just couldn't help themselves from having a little bit to get on my nerves at the end, right? Like they had 3 drives with a chance to win the game at all 3, and they still didn't do it. And if you're just joining now, I'm not at all blaming the offense. Offense played a great game. But the 3rd and 2, I don't remember I think it was a missed to JSN. Funny thing was, in that 4th and 2, Lockett was actually wide open. Now, nothing Geno could do. Parsons was in his face like 0.2 seconds after he snapped the damn thing. So not much Geno could do on that play, but he had Lockett. Just so frustrating. Like last week was just more of like, it didn't hurt as much because it was just, they're not good. And they got their butts whooped by a better team. They could have won tonight. They could have won. And listen, maybe you're like, hey, Jay, I don't really care. Like, I don't care if they win because they're not a Super Bowl team. And I get that. But winning feels good, right? It would have been a nice win, no matter what the team's record is. This team was 3-8 coming into today. It probably wouldn't hurt this much, but it would have still hurt. Like, I want to watch my team win football games. Like, life is short. I don't root for losses. I can't do it. If you're in that boat, I get it. I certainly understand why you would think maybe losing would be better for the long-term future of this team, but I want the current team to develop, right? Like the talent on the current roster still matters. These guys need to play good. Like you're not going to get 22 new players next year. There's still going to be a lot of these guys on the roster, and they've got to play better, and they've got to be better, and the refs have to be better too. Animal says Geno did drop it. Yeah, Geno dropped a bunch of dimes tonight. Like Geno was on. This was maybe his best game since Detroit. I think is fair to say. This is probably his first or second best game this year. I'll say second just because Detroit, they finished it and got the W. And tonight they didn't. And this is against a good defense. Like maybe you could say better than Detroit because Detroit's defense is still a little suspect. Dallas's isn't. Dallas's has been dominating this year. And Seattle put up 35. Like it's hard to be mad at the offense at all. Some frustrating things at the end, but more just frustrating than it is blaming them. And that's the problem. You'll not get an innovative defensive coach. Therefore, Jason, you're probably not wrong. Like I said, I'm going to wait till the end of the year. But I think, listen, if you guys are on the time to move on from Pete Train, I get it. I do. This is a lot of years now where this defense just has not been good anymore. And I love Pete Carroll to death. I build the man a statue outside the stadium. And listen, it's not going to be easy to replace him. He is a great program builder, a great ambassador of the game of football. It would not be an easy thing to do. And you better damn get that hire right if you do move on. But it might be. Like I said, I'm going to wait till the end of the year. Same thing I kind of did with the Mariners. Let everything finish out and stew on some things a little bit. I will say this, like, you know, listen, this doesn't really this doesn't change anything, this game, about what I thought about this team. I think this is kind of a mediocre football team that's, capable of games like this where they can hang in there against a good team and do it, that they can beat the bad teams and they'll beat the mid teams as well. But, they're an 8-9 win team. Now they're going through a brutal stretch with San Francisco, Dallas, San Francisco, and Philly. Listen, like I said it before, they went into this stretch, like you could go 0-4 and play decent football, right? Like tonight's a good example. The defense did not play decent football, but like overall, they hung in there and had a chance to beat the Dallas Cowboys. But they just couldn't do it. And it goes back to other things. Like this is why you got to win that Rams game in LA. You win this and you could probably afford to drop all 4 games and probably still get in. But then, then there's the next question. Is it worth it to just get in the playoffs? What would this team do in the playoffs? They'd probably go to Philly or San Francisco, and I don't think they'd hold up very well. I do think there's some things to be encouraged about tonight. Geno played really well. I think Abe Lucas looked pretty solid coming back. I thought Charles Cross had a rough game. It can happen to anybody against Parsons, but I thought Charles Cross played pretty poorly. But the offensive line technically did not give up a sack. I thought there were some plays where there was some pressure that Geno did a nice job stepping around it. I thought the receivers did well. There was the drop by Tyler stunk, but for the most part, JSN, I don't have the box score. We pulled up, but JSN had a nice game. I thought actually Charbonnet actually ran the ball pretty well. The numbers won't indicate it, but I didn't see a lot of running room there. And I thought he did a pretty good job, like just to keep it, 2-3 yards at least on every carry. I mean, Geno 23 of 41, 334, 8.1 yards per attempt. The interception was bad, and I'm tired of the Geno. Every throw to the sideline, it seems to get intercepted here. Roof is in the house. Yeah, let me send you the link, my friend. I'm probably going to get going in a couple minutes, though, honestly, but I will send you the link if you want to hop in. Give me just a second here. And it seems like every game Geno has a throw to the sidelines where it's picked off. So that's frustrating. But at the end of the day, Dallas didn't do anything off those, didn't do anything off the interception. So it ended up it always hurts, right? Because it cost you a possession, but it wasn't that bad. Charbonnet, 19 for 60. That's not great. But again, I thought he did a decent job not losing yards on carries. And sometimes that's important in the running game, right? If you can get 2-3 yards, you're at least putting yourself in 2nd 8, 2nd 7, where you still have the playbook open to you a little bit more. DK 6 for 134, 3 touches, all on 8 targets. JSN 7 for 62. And that should be 8 for close to 100 as well, because that touchdown should not have been overturned. They got it in anyways, but that should have been even more for JSN. And even if you want to say that it was a drop, he draws the PI. So, that's valuable as well in there by JSN. Tyler, 5 for 47, and drew a PI himself. Noah Fant had a great catch all across the sideline, 3 for 43. Charbonnet, 1 for 39. I thought that was a great play call by the Seahawks. They caught Dallas off napping a little bit, thinking they were going to end the quarter there, and Bobo caught 1 for 9. Seattle did get 4 sacks. Jaron Reed had 1. Leonard Williams, Darrell Taylor, and Jordan Brooks. What was I going to say? The pass rush was, and Darrell Taylor had another sack he should have had, but didn't wrap up Dak. It's funny because Dallas hadn't given up a sack in 3 weeks. So the 4 sacks is solid, but it was not consistent pressure. There was still Dak getting to sit back there and drink his tea before throwing a pass. Oh, and Roof, you know what? I don't have headphones on, my friend. So hold on. I'll be right back. I got to get headphones and everything so I can hear you. So hold on just a second. Let me get to the comments, guys, and I'll be right back. Yeah, they did exactly. Winston didn't force a single punt all game. No punts in this game total, which was incredible, actually. Geno missed a few key seemingly pass second down those last few drives. Yeah, the flags, Nick, were just ridiculous. And I ranted early in the stream about that. The refs were absolutely garbage awful tonight. Yeah, and Geno still missed a couple. Like, he was not perfect, right? Like, I'm not gonna stand and say Geno was perfect. I still stand with saying they need to draft a quarterback next year. I'm pro Geno. I think he's the best quarterback on the roster. And then let me be right back. Let me grab some headphones. Guys, give me 2 minutes and Roof, I will get you in. All righty. I hope you guys all enjoyed me being gone for 2 minutes. Just going to get some headphones in here so I can hear Rooftop when he joins me here. Let me hook this up so it's not connected through my phone. Sorry about this, guys. Technical, got to have the technical stuff going on here. All right, let's see. Let's add. Can you hear me?
I am welcomed. Yeah, I hear you just great. Do you hear me just great? And your internet looks a little bit more improved.
Maybe it was just the Seahawks. Maybe their dysfunction led me to better internet. But yeah, thanks for joining.
So.
Ranting and raving.
Thanks for letting me join while I wait for my video to download, and I have some stuff to cut through. Here's my big list, and yep, there it is. Lots of stuff.
Just going to go through some comments. If you guys haven't yet, head over to Rooftop Sports and hit that subscribe button. If you're not subscribed to me, hit the sub button as well. And remember to hit the like button on the stream too.
Better yet, donate to us too.
That helps
Let's
as well.
Do that so I can get plane tickets to CJ Trident for a Mariners spring training game. But
there we go.
Let me see what we have gone over, because I already went through it on my show. I just want to see if you guys got it covered. Have we covered these problems? Seahawks defense, have we covered that?
Oh yeah. I mean, we can cover it more, but
bad coaching.
Yeah, a little bit. This has been a weird
too many
one.
Penalties.
Yeah. We went over that. Yeah.
Let me see what else.
Thank you, Flick.
Geno's inability to close out the games when opportunity is given to him.
I talked about it, but I mean, Geno at the end of the day finishes. They scored 35 against an outstanding defense. Like, I cannot sit here and it was frustrating that the last 3 drives, they couldn't do something, but I cannot sit here on a day where Geno goes 23 of 41 for 334, 3 tutties against that defense, which is top 5, and be mad at him. I can't.
How about
I can't.
Tyler Lockett's drop?
Talked about that. It's funny enough. I did criticize Geno a little bit on that. I think it was a little bit too much of a dart throw. He was wide open.
It was a dart.
I'm not like, listen, it hits you right there. You got to catch it. But I do think that pass could have been a little easier to catch, and Lockett was wide open. Maybe wait for him to turn around. I don't know. This one just
miscommunications. A lot of those drops were just bad, timely throws, and I'm about to upset a lot of fans on this, but I'm going to say this. Whether you score 35 points as the quarterback or you score 7, especially no matter the point differential, when you are given the opportunity to finish those games, it is your job as the quarterback to get that done. Yes, there's play calls you got to follow. You can always audible them. I know that's unreasonable. But even with the offensive line being terrible, maybe you could have screened past it. Like, I think,
well,
it's just frustrating to see the Bengals game, the Rams game, and now this game as just so easily winnable games where Geno's not finishing them, which is why I have my concerns.
The Rams game wasn't on Geno. He did finish that. Myers missed a kick. They didn't have time to really do anything else there. The Bengals game, Yeah, but apparently that wasn't the play call. So like he can't.
I mean, if I'm Gino, I would have said screw the play call. I'm not going to run Charbonnet for just 3 yards with 30 seconds running.
If you go back and watch that play, they I think it was Peters missed a block. They actually had some room on that play to get a few yards.
Still,
look, I'm still for drafting a quarterback. Like I don't think like Gino's the long-term guy or anything.
Not.
I just can't look at tonight. I get where you're coming from, right? Like they had possessions late where they still, despite everything, had a chance to go and win. I don't think like you're crazy. And I talked about that last drive. They had a 2nd and 2, like, and they ended up
still didn't get that.
over. And like I know there was no timeouts, but I don't know, hand the ball off, just get that first down, right? And then reset everything. You reset the downs, like, and it just you know what? Defender of logic. Thank you. That was the other rant I meant to say. Get Jason Myers' ass off this team.
You know what's scary? We could have gotten Dustin Hopkins before the Browns did. We had all that time.
I would rather have you as the kicker. Like,
okay, would you rather have Jason Myers or would you have Blair Walsh?
Honestly, Blair Walsh, because he's cheaper. Myers is like the 2nd or 3rd highest paid kicker in the NFL. He is paid like Justin frickin' Tucker. And
shouldn't
it's
have got
just,
that extension.
No, like get Myers off the team. 42 yards. You know what? Even the Rams kick, even the kick against the Rams, I know 55 is not a gimme. I'm not trying to. And listen, I'll be very clear. The Seahawks' problems are not like Jason Myers. There's more that needs to go on, and kickers are pretty easy to figure out. So it's not something that I'm like, oh God, this team would be 10-2 if it weren't for Myers. But I mean,
no.
Like he is paying enough to make these kicks.
There is a lot of factors, and I know I'm the biggest Geno hater in Seattle. I'm willing to admit it. It's just, even with odds stacked up against you, you still have to lead the way to win. And yep, we got that. My friend Chad over there, he's like, yeah, but he put up 343 yards and 3 touchdowns. But his last few drives, he didn't really do much at all. So
you shouldn't have had to. Like the defense.
I know there's that. You shouldn't have had to. There's
you
that.
Shouldn't have had
there's
to.
That. It's a crapshoot with this team. There's like,
sorry, Liv.
There's just no. It's a crapshoot. I get it. It's just that. Yeah. How can you fix this team? And it's not like the ownership's a problem. Well, Jody Allen, she's basically just doing. She's at least not screwing it up too much. But sometimes you wonder if Pete Carroll also has.
We talked about it. Yeah,
kind of reaching his expiration date, and John Schneider, he just gets lucky in the draft once in a while. But at least when he does get lucky, he does get generational talent. But
see, I'd actually be interested to see what Schneider would do without Pete. Like, just like Schneider's got the reins, he's got full control. He gets to pick the coach. I'd be willing to see it because like Pete is above Schneider. So, you know, we'll see. Like, I'm not at Fire Pete yet. I talked about it before he came on. Like, I'm going to wait till the end of the year. And I hate saying fire Pete because, like, I feel like he deserves to, like, step down.
Yeah, at least give him the opportunity to step down on his own terms. Yeah.
Exactly. But, yeah, I'm kind of there because this – go ahead.
But you would think that within the next 2 years – if it stays exactly like this, where we're like 8-9s or 9-8, 7-10, 10-7, whatever, you would think that there's at least going to be a conversation of like, okay, should we do at least I will say this, Seahawks also made a mistake years ago not bringing back Dan Quinn, because I think Pete Carroll I think he was still not over the fact that Dan Quinn left for the Atlanta Falcons, and he had a golden opportunity to bring back a defensive mastermind in Dan Quinn. Like, there's a reason why the teams that he has coached defensively, they've done very well. And don't forget, Dan Quinn brought the Seahawks to the Super Bowl twice. So I know a lot of people Flick the Switch is 7-10 now, not 7-9, 16, 17 game season thing. Yeah. And I know that a lot of people out there say that I'm a Geno hater. I'm more of I'm a heavy Geno criticizer. But even if he was doing fantastic this season, like doing like basically even matching 2022 or a little bit better, I still think that, well, we should still at least get a good backup quarterback to learn under, because I may not like Geno Smith, but I really don't like Drew Lock either.
No, and I think everybody for the most part is on board with like, yeah, they need to draft a quarterback, someone young in there that can, because even if you love Gino, I like Gino, but he's 33,
He's
34. So
33. He's not getting any
yeah, like
younger.
I think everybody is on board with drafting a quarterback. I just can't sit here today and I know where you're coming from on it. I just like Gino was good. Like that's just, if you would have gave me those numbers before the game, I would have said, heck yeah, sign me up for that game. Sign me up for what they did offensively. So, and then Flick says, yeah, it took, and that's why I'm not quite on just to fire them right now, because it is still a bit of a rebuild. They're still in it. They're still accumulating talent, but it's just, I feel like there is enough talent. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there's not. Maybe it's just not as talented of a team.
No, it is a talented team, and yeah, maybe personnel is a problem, but also you can always scheme your way out of it too, out of the limited talent that you have. Like, it's not like when Bill Belichick with his Patriots, and I know that he's having a terrible season, but for the most part, he knows how to find hidden talent, even though they're not talented at all, and he can scheme his way out of it. But we don't have the coaches to scheme, to make good schemes. Like, we got Clinton hurt. I think he's proven that he's not doing a good job. And Shane Waldron,
but you know what? Even Belichick though now isn't coaching his way out of it. It goes to show that like you still got to have
still need the balance.
Yeah, it's a balance. And Hannah, I agree. They're probably not going to be bad enough to get, that
Michael Penix or
and
Oregon quarterback, but it's a deep class of quarterbacks. Yeah. Like, it's not like, I know the Seahawks don't necessarily have to get a first rounder. They can get someone in the mids. And even then, no matter how much I feel about Gino, I still expect him to be the starter next year. But I do expect a quarterback to at least be watched for the preseason if they are to draft him. I still expect that to happen. And who knows? I mean, that's too far ahead.
Yeah, and we don't know where they're going to end up in the draft, so it's hard to predict. But I think they've needed to draft a quarterback for years, even when they had Russ, like somebody that can. I'm not saying when Russ was in his prime, they should have been like trying to get someone to push him, but I've always had this theory you should draft a quarterback every year, like, and take, it's a position that's so valuable that it's worth just if you have enough picks, right? I mean, if you only got like 4 or 5, then maybe not. But if you've got enough picks, like I think every year you should throw something at the wall and see what sticks with the quarterback. It's that important of a position that, I mean, I'm not saying you end up with 9 quarterbacks on the roster.
No, you don't do that.
Yeah, but
I mean, Green Bay does it all the time. That's why once in a while they thought that Jordan Love could be the guy. Now it's still too early to see if he is the guy or not. I mean, he's not throwing Aaron Rodgers numbers when Aaron Rodgers had his first full season, but Seahawks should definitely. It's getting closer, but something tells me I just feel like the Seahawks aren't going to do it. They're just going to go. They're going to go all in on Geno. They're just going to build everything around. Like, offensive line needs work. I would probably say secondary is terrible. Like, I don't trust Jamal Adams, even a healthy Jamal Adams, to help lead that.
They're going to have to make some cuts at the safety position to free up money because it's such an expensive safety group with Love, Adams, and Diggs. There's no way all 3 are back next year.
No, and I would expect that. I think the Seahawks, I would expect them to maybe take some dead cap on Jamal Adams. But I wasn't the biggest fan of. I never liked Jamal Adams. As much as he was getting the sacks, it also came at the cost of giving up big plays.
Just get to this comment real quick. Reflect says, well, it's funny. Reflect, Seattle's actually the first team that had a lead on Dallas this year. That was the first time Dallas trailed at home all year. And I'll stand and say you make case Seattle should have absolutely won that football game. Chad, I agree 100%. Adams and Diggs, Diggs especially. I just feel like he's been really, and I don't know, maybe he's managing
Diggs is not
better than I think.
He's not getting any younger either. He's been on the team for quite a bit.
They're going to have to make some changes. Just from a financial standpoint, I think the corner room is fine. Woolen's definitely been a little disappointing this season.
At least it's not Kerry Williams. Kerry Williams was the worst I ever saw.
He hasn't been that bad. And Spoons look great.
But I do think that Witherspoon should have been matched up more on seeding. I know he got burned up, and Witherspoon is not necessarily known for his speed. He's known for his physical force, but I would have still rather put the physical guy because when it gets later in the game, guys get tired, and I think Witherspoon could have been useful for that. But Woolen has just been
agreed. Flick.
He's not been the same as he was last year, and then of course we don't have Kobe Bryant. He's also not been around either. So this has been a injury-filled season more than it was last year. Last year the team was pretty much healthy the entire season.
Well, that's been one of the problems for the offensive line, too. And I will say I thought Abe Lucas looked solid. There was one time when he was one-on-one with Parsons where he got beaten. That was that play where Al Michaels and Herb Street were joking that he had his back turned to him, blocking him. But I thought other than that, Abe Lucas looked pretty good. I'm really hoping him being back gets that run game going. Reflect, that's a great point. I forgot about Nwosu. I didn't forget, but that was a huge loss. And not only could Nwosu get after the quarterback, he was a great edge setter for the run. The problem is now what you have without Nwosu. Now, Maffei's taken a step forward because he can stop the run and he can get to the quarterback, but you have Darrell Taylor, who's a one-trick pony. He's a pass rusher. You have Derek Hall, who just hasn't really done anything yet, at least that I've seen. Maybe someone that breaks down tape more than me can get into that. But, and you're left with those guys on the edge, and that's a huge problem. I think Nwosu, a really underrated loss this year for sure. And I'm sorry. Another thing I got to add too is Frank Clark needs to stop getting snaps. He's just not good anymore.
Not the same. Do you think the Seahawks should have tried to get Shaq Griffin, who just got picked off the waivers, unless the Seahawks did not have the priority on that waiver?
No, they did, because Carolina picked him up. So technically the first team on the waiver wire actually grabbed him. I don't think he's been very good. I haven't followed him too much, but if I'm not mistaken, he has not been very good since leaving Seattle. He's gone into the AFC, so I haven't followed his path much. I was actually never a big fan. He had some moments. Like, he wasn't the worst player ever, but I don't think corner is the problem. Like, I know Woolen hasn't been great, but you're still going to run him out there. What else are you going to do? Put Artie Burns out there? You don't want to do that. So you let Woolen take his lumps. Spoon's been good. Trey Brown's been nice coming back from injury. You do have Kobe Bryant on the team. I wasn't super impressed with him last year, but I'd rather watch Kobe Bryant than Shaq Griffin, essentially. So,
isn't that kind of funny? Kobe and Shaq in the same sentence in the NFL. Also, rest in peace, Kobe, still to this day. But let's play a game. So right now, the Seahawks are now at 6-6, which really hurts like a what. Let's do a prediction for the end of the season.
Perfect.
So we're at 6-6. That's a good way to wrap it up.
Yep.
All right. 49ers. I'd say we lost that game.
Loss. I mean, I think they could play really well and lose that game. But lost.
If I were them, just put in Drew Lock. Just save trouble. Save Gino's arm. See? Chad, I said something nice about Gino. Save his arm. Come on. At least I like him more than Drew Lock. Okay.
That's what's so frustrating. Real quick, just to add, what's so frustrating about this loss is Seattle could be really good. They could be 10-2 and they could go to San Francisco and lose. That's a tough game, no matter how good a team you are, but loss.
All right. Next one is the Eagles. I'm going to say, I'll say win, just because maybe they'll be so pissed off from that 49ers game, and they got a Monday Night Football headed their way, and they usually do well on Monday Night Football. So I'll say 7-7 on that one.
I'm kind of with you. Something tells me they got to win one of these four somewhere, right? And maybe at home that they played better. Tonight, defensively they didn't, but overall they were more competitive tonight. Loss, and the Eagles have been playing a lot of teams close. It's probably a loss. Philly's much better, but I'm going to say loss.
6-8. Lost. That's fair. And usually I'm the negative Nancy on
I know,
that
right?
one.
Look at Roof.
I'm just trying to please Chad and Reflect the Sun, because Reflect the Sun really blasted me on my own show, but she did give me about a couple bucks. So I'll take that. All right. Titans. I'm going to say we win. We got to win that game. There's no way. They don't have a quarterback, so we got to win that game.
I mean, Levis has been playing. He started out really good. That's a game you should win, right? That's one that Seattle is actually a better team, at least by the metrics. I don't. Tennessee's one of those teams I don't watch a whole lot, but I feel like that should be a win.
Steelers. I'm gonna say lose because we just always lose the Steelers in weird ways. And urinating tree.
I'm going to say win. I feel like Pittsburgh is a team that's like tailor-made for Seattle to beat them. They're very methodical offensively. Like that's actually a team that I think the styles of defense Seattle runs is a team that they can be. And Winston, I agree, 8-9 might actually get you in if you have the tiebreakers. That Kenny Pickett's very dink dunk.
He has small hands too.
Small, Najee. Although, what's the other running back they have? They have
Najee Harris.
There's another guy that's been running really well for them, and I'm blanking on it.
That's all right.
So. Harris is a guy I think they'll bottle up. Pittsburgh defense is really good. So that could be where like I could see them losing 13-10, something like that. But I'm going to say win. I think they beat Pittsburgh.
All right. And now we're closing it with Kyler Murray. And Cardinals are known to play spoilers, especially at that stadium, because weirdest things always happen in the Cardinals stadium. And before I say what's going to happen, we've always had the weirdest moments. Stephen Hauschka's kicks.
The Super Bowl.
Cardinals missed a point blank. The Super Bowl. DK Metcalf chased a guy down. Russell Wilson's very first game.
Sherman Chancellor's career.
We knocked out.
Sherman's career wasn't ended, but their Seahawks.
We ended John Skelton's career and brought back Kevin Cobb. Kevin Cobb beat us. So, but I'm gonna say we lose because they can't stop Kyler Murray, who runs, and it's gonna be his last game. He's gonna have nothing to lose. Cardinals have nothing to lose. They love to play spoilers.
I wonder if Kyler plays that game, if they're like so out of it and he's been banged up. I could see them resting him. They should beat Arizona. Like Arizona still sucks. Like their defense is Swiss cheese. Now we've seen this offense struggle sometimes against Swiss cheese, but like if tonight, hopefully maybe tonight was a step in the right direction. I'll say win. I think, and Kyler Murray's dynamic, but he's not. I think he can beat you, obviously, and they're certainly better with Kyler, but I think that should be one. I think they have a chance to win the last three, which would be why it'd be so great. Like if they would have won tonight, I'll say right now, they win tonight, I'm like almost 95% sure this team gets to the playoffs. Like the next two games, now, I mean, take what I say with a grain of salt, because like we want them to be better, but if we're just talking playoffs, if you're 7-7 after this gauntlet, you're in pretty good shape. Because I see a couple people in the chat saying like 8-9, 9-8 almost guarantees to get you in. Now, technically you win tonight, you still had a chance at the division. I don't think it would have happened. So it's frustrating from that. But man, this loss, like it just hurt. This is one of those ones that just like, you guys, you ever have where just in the pit of your stomach it hurts after a game?
It really did hurt, but I already knew it was happening. Like I was already expecting the Cowboys to cover their own spread. But when I went to the casino, I actually put the Cowboys as just win flat. I didn't do the cover. I chickened out, and good thing I did. Well, otherwise, I would have lost my parlay.
Yeah,
but final results, I say 8-9. Trident says 9-8, and easily we could trade one of those games for each other.
Yeah, and I don't think any I'll say this: I'm pretty confident they lose next week. I just don't see them going into San Francisco and beating Shanahan. I think the next four, again, like at home Monday night, I think they could beat Philly. I'm not trying to come on here and say like, oh, they're going to beat Philly or anything and like trying to downplay. Philly's better, but I think they have a chance at home there. But as much as the last three are winnable, like I could see them losing at Tennessee. I could see them losing to Pittsburgh. Like I could see it. So I'll say 9-8. Knowing this team, they'll do something funky like beat San Francisco and Philly and then lose to Tennessee and Pittsburgh, as only the Seahawks could do, something where it's like, are you kidding me? But just frustrating because, I went into this game thinking they were going to lose. I did have some thought it might be a little bit closer, but it just hurts. Like, man, this one just
really does.
I just can't even that's why I started out on a huge rant on this video. And it's hard to break down because it was just a gut wrenching loss. And sometimes I just don't have the energy it just hurts. Like this one is just one of the ones. Last week didn't hurt because they just were awful. This one hurts. Like this would have been a fun
Rams game hurts. The Bengals game hurts. At least everything else was like, you couldn't really do anything about it.
And and looking back, the Bengals game hurts more now. At the time, I was kind of like, hey, Burrow was back, looked healthy. The Bengals were one of the favorites to get to the Super Bowl. It was a frustrating loss, but I was willing to kind of go like, okay, like they played okay. And they bounced back and won the next two after that. The Rams one hurts, like, because, yeah, I mean, I guess they all hurt. I don't know. It just hurts.
Yeah. Looks like you're running out of time because you got to get some sleep. And
yeah, I got to get
I still got to cut all these.
Now it's 10:40, yeah.
Still got all this to do because these are potential money just to get $1. Woo!
Fleck, you always make me laugh, and I appreciate that. That is
opening day. Oh, I'm gonna make sure I'm gonna somehow find a way to get a day off on that.
Yeah, you gotta be.
I'm gonna plan that like ahead. Like going into New Year, I'm going to be like, hey, I need this entire day freaking off. Who knows? Hopefully by that time we'll be more credible. And also announcement. So for any of you that follow Mariners, because obviously Seahawks fans follow the Mariners, I was able to strike a show with the great Couch GM who covers the Mariners, one of the more popular Mariner YouTubers. He will actually, as of now, be with us for our show on Tuesday at 6 p.m. to cover Mariners off season. It'll be a very special show, and I tried to get this guy on for a long time. I think he waited until I got my 1,000 to be like, okay, yeah, let's do it. And I can't blame him for it. But then, I'm sure we're confident that he won't pull a Joe Doyle. And I'm not afraid to say that because Joe Doyle, he backed out of my show at the last minute. He said yes, and yes. I went through trouble with my job. I didn't go through trouble, but I was like, hey, can you give me this day off? I know it's beyond my threshold, but can you, like... He gave it to me. And then literally like the morning of, at least... Now, I'll give him credit. It was the morning of. At least he didn't do it at 5, but it was still kind of crappy where he goes, oh, I can't make it because my agent said... No, I think he just didn't want to be part of... He didn't want to be in a 500 sub show at the time. Yeah. Oh, no, Reflect the Sun. You can be on any behavior you want. Just remember, this is a YouTube channel, not a Facebook place where community standards are a thing. No, say whatever you want. Like everything you said on my show, I loved it because I'm like, we need diverse comments. Everyone should be allowed an opinion without being silenced. So... I'll be looking forward to doing the show with Couch GM. I'll have to try my best to be civil because I had a spat all over Scott's service with him, but I think everyone now is getting it, sort of. I think it's becoming a little bit more mainstream because now but now he's kind of off the hook too because our owner is so bad.
Well,
so it doesn't really matter.
And that's kind of, and yes, Reflect, if they bring back La Stella, then I will be officially out. And I think last thing I'll say, I'm gonna head out. If you want to keep going, Ruth, you are welcome to.
Go get some sleep, man, because I gotta cut my post-game video at least.
But yeah, like with Scott, I think it's kind of gotten to the point where like, and I'm kind of becoming different. I'll still defend like some of it, but it's like the ownership and there's a question about Jerry. It's like there's only so much. Like
that Scott can do.
And
the only thing he can do is just make better line. He can at least make better lineups and at least make a better bullpen decision just by one inning. If you can do that, you can easily get 3 free wins out of that.
Like, let us have like 2 minutes to be excited. Maybe can we just think about it? You know what? Actually, I don't want to think about it because they're not going to get.
We'll think about it on Tuesday when we have a talk with Couch GM because I know with his heavy baseball knowledge, he'll enlighten us with his opinions. Like he's saying that Ty France could have a comeback season because he's really working on his game, and maybe he'll have some like insights of like what could go down to something that we don't know.
No,
and the spat shouldn't have happened. Like I think that spat happened just because the Mariners like lost the game in some sort of weird way, and it caused my keyboards to go flying on him, and he goes, "You're insane." But now I've got in the 1K. He's like, "Okay, yeah, let's do it." At least,
and it gets emotional. Like my first 10 minutes on here was blaming refs and stuff. So it gets emotional.
I didn't even blame refs at all. I was like, Gino, it's all Gino. It's like, okay, but it's also the defense, it's the coaching, it's this. Too many penalties that could have been prevented. The only ref ball call I did not agree with was the Bobby Wagner unnecessary roughness thing. I was like, he was already in forward motion. He couldn't stop himself.
Yeah, to me, you know what? I'm gonna wrap it up. I gotta get
wrap it up,
sleep,
man.
So.
Get some sleep.
Yeah, just want to thank everybody. I'm actually surprised. We actually got up to like 20 people at one point. Usually it's more Mariner stuff. So thank you all for joining me. And Rooftop for this post game recap. Tough one. For me, it just hurt. Like I just that one really gutted me because I was like, oh my gosh, they might win this. I was so excited to. Winning feels good and losing sucks. So have a good night, everybody. Love you all. Take care. Roof, I'll see you on Tuesday, my friend.
Go Hawks.
Go Hawks. Later.